Welcome to a brand new episode of Unblocking Your Purpose. I am your girl, your friend Jada, and I am going to jump right on into the episode. This week, we are talking about boundaries, sacred boundaries, the ones that protect our peace in such a way that we don't need to or have to apologize for them. Okay. Something that I came across said that boundaries aren't boundaries just for the sake of being, but they are actually invitations for healthier relationships. And I think, like with most things, how we look at things, how we address them, how we give weight to them, that is what is going to drive our actions, our decisions, our choices, right? So I think a lot of times we think of like, oh, I put a boundary in place and I have a wall up. And that's not necessarily what we are talking about. And the reason I wanted to talk about this in this episode, because, we're off the heels of Thanksgiving. We're quickly approaching Christmas. It is knocking. But even in that, there are so many people and so many things that may be encroaching on us. And not that they're doing it in a malicious way, but people want to have parties and people want to get together and people want you to cook your special whatever it is, your kids want certain gifts, your husband wants a certain dish, whatever it is. There are a lot of, I'm not going to say demands, but there are a lot of maybe expectations, a lot of requests that you may have already started to get, or that they're going to be coming up, right? If you're still in the space where you have extended family that you get to share or you want to share holidays with, there's a lot of external factors, basically, right, that may push you further than where you want to go. So instead of it being like, this is my boundary, this is the line in the sand, no, let's kind of change that and just say, hey, this is whatever my boundary is, and it's because I want to have a better, healthier relationship, not only with other people, but really with myself, that I want to honor myself and respect myself. And I want to make sure that I'm showing up in my best. So, therefore, me saying no isn't to hurt you, but it's to preserve my peace, my, sanity, and so that I can continue to show up for everyone and for everything. All right. So, I think oftentimes we may try to compartmentalize, and most people that are listening to this show are women, right? And we don't typically try to do that because we're so busy multitasking. But when I'm talking about compartmentalizing, it shouldn't be like, okay, here is what I do through my spiritual lens, and this is what I do through my fleshly being, or this is what I do as a mom, or whatever, right? It all sort of intermingles. And so in that, there are connections between our spiritual selves and our emotional stewardship, between our spiritual selves and our feelings. And so I think we should be mindful in that. And also the spiritual piece, and it'll tie into, I have two Bible verses that I want to give you this week to ponder on, maybe meditate on, because there is something spiritual when it comes to setting our boundaries. So the first I will, because we did Proverbs last week. If you didn't listen to it, go check it out. It was a pretty good episode. I do say so myself, and I've gotten feedback. But we talked about Proverbs and being the Proverbs 31 woman because it came from there. But this one is actually found up in Proverbs 4, verse 23. And it's one that we've heard a lot, right? Maybe not just hearing me say Proverbs 4:23, but once I read it to you, or if you're looking it up, you'll know it. And so it says, and this is out of the NLT version, and it says, "Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life." Right? So kind of just going along with what I was just trying to explain, you know what I'm saying? Like what we do and what we're thinking and what we're processing, it is going to be a direct correlation into what we do, whether we want it to or not. Because where our mind goes, our body will go. Where our minds are, it can, direct our steps. So we have to guard our minds and guard our hearts, because in order to do the things that we're called to do, we have to make sure that we have that solid, because things, again, from last week are going to flow from that, right? So that's the first verse. And the second comes from Matthew 5:37. So we're going to hop over to the New Testament. And it says, and this is actually Jesus saying, he says, just say a simple yes, I will, or no, I won't. Anything beyond this is from the evil one. Also coming from the NLT version. So I read this and I'm like, whoa, because especially for me, this hit home. Um, because I'm always feeling like I have to over explain why I'm doing something or why I'm not doing something. Is that you? Can you relate to that? Where it's like, oh goodness, if I say no, I have to explain and I have to have all the justification of me saying no. And like episodes ago, I talked about, hey, no is a word and it's a sentence, right? And so I think we have to understand that we don't need to feel guilty for saying no. Jesus plainly said, say yes you will or no you won't. The rest is Satan coming out and having us to do all this extra explaining and, okay, well, I have to say this or they don't feel this, or I have to fill in the blanks. And I am just here to encourage you as well as myself to say, you know what? It's simple. Yes or no. And that's a boundary. And that helps us to, build those relationships. And one really has us to honor him, right? Because that's the word. And that's what I'm saying spiritually. That is the word. And if you believe in it, that's what it says, you know? Um, but more than that, we honor him and we're honoring ourselves. And in honoring ourselves, then we're showing up in our best. And so that will help with the relationship. Now, you know what? You're like me. We done probably gone along to get along. We're doing all the things. We're trying to be there for all the people all the time. And so it's easier for us to say yes than to say no. And then when we do say no, we're doing all the explaining. And so it is going to be a transition. Now, if you, like me, are able to say, someone asks us something and we say, yes, I will, or no, I won't, and to not add in all the filler, right? It's going to be hard to make that transition because we feel like we owe people so much all the time. And so I am just challenging you and I'm challenging me. Hey, let's do what Jesus said. We're just going to say yes or we're going to say no. And in that, I think that helps us to not feel guilty. It will help us where we don't feel like we need to apologize. It just simply is what it is. And it's not that it's good or it's bad or it's right or it's wrong. It's just a yes or no. And then, however they decide to receive that and react, that's on them. And for us to sit up here and be trying to manage the process and manage the dialogue and manage all of the things, that is not our job. That is not on us to do that. We need to know and be, what am I trying to say? We need to be confident in who we are, whose we are, what we are meant to do, the capacity we have, that we can't do and be everything for everybody all the time, and to be okay with that and to not feel like we need to apologize. All right, so it's spiritual. I done gave you two scriptures, so do with that what you will. All right, I'm gonna continue to work on it too. So I hope you do, and I hope you share with me so I know how you're doing. And I will also be putting some things out on the social media to be like, all right, I'm working on this. Yes, I will, or no, I won't. Um, I think we also have to look at when we say no and doing it in a way where we're not feeling guilty, that we're really showing up and respecting ourselves. We're not wishy washy. We're not, you know, I don't want to hurt and do this. When we're not hurting somebody or saying that we're trying not to hurt somebody else, but we're hurting ourselves in the process, it shouldn't be an either or, right? It should not be an either or. It should be, here are the facts. Let's take the feelings out of it. Here are the facts. This is the capacity. This is what I can do. That's it. That's all. No hard feelings. And when we're able to get to the point where we are not feeling guilty or apologizing for it, then we are really going to be respecting ourselves, because now we have the boundaries in place that will help us to move accordingly to his plan and his purpose and our purpose as we are walking through and finding it, right? So, on the flip side of that, if you think about it, when you have or we have a lack of boundaries, then that leads us to feeling burnt out. It leads to us being resentful. It leads to us, you know, being upset. It could probably lead to, depression, because we're not honoring ourselves while we're sitting up here trying to do everything to appease and to please everyone. And I think that, a lot of times we do that, and then we're like, why are we so tired? Why don't I have time for myself? Why am I feeling like I'm burning both ends of the candle? And it's because we are not meant to be able to do everything. And really and truly, if it's not aligning with what he has for you and what you know in your spirit and, in your soul, then why are we saying yes? Why? So I'm not just giving you these questions, I'm talking to myself too. And I think it's because we don't want to feel like we are upsetting someone or disappointing someone. But really and truly, I think they will understand and they will respect us and they will love us even more when they know that we are coming from our true, authentic, genuine selves. So let's start, putting that into practice. I touched on this a little bit earlier. There's walls and there's boundaries. Boundaries are just like, hey, I am just setting the space. I'm setting the perimeters. I'm doing this because I need to preserve and honor myself, and also because I want us to have a good relationship with whoever it is that you're setting the boundary for. It's not a wall where you're sitting up here saying, no one's coming in here. It's a hard no. Get out of here. It's my way or that. That is not what we're trying to do. We are just trying to say, hey, here it is. This is what I can do when I'm willing to do what I want to do. And when I say no, it may just be because I don't want to. And that too is okay. It is okay to not want to do something and to be able to say no and not feel guilty. All right. So, not that you needed permission, but there you go. Um, and we have to also understand that God models this for us. He models everything for us, And as I've been reading through the Bible, didn't get to where I wanted to go, but it's okay. God willing, I have another year. We're going to get back on it and keep going. But he had his boundaries too. Like, it was like, hey, if I am not being respected, then I'm going to let certain things go. If I am not being, you know, revered and honored, then I have to let you people go through some things so that you can remember. He had boundaries. And just like as a parent, us as natural parents, as moms, it's the same for him. Like, it hurts for us to have to go through, things for our kids, but we have to set those boundaries. We can't even let these little terrorists, that's what I call my baby sometimes. I'm not negotiating with a terrorist. But we have to just know that we have our boundaries, we have our limits, and we are people too, and we should not be taken advantage of. And God too was not taken advantage of. It's like, this is what I've told you, this is what's going to happen. Go forth and do great things. Okay, you didn't do it. Here's the punishment. That's it. That's all. Good night. And I mean, the great thing is that he had grace and he loved them and he loves us and gives like more chances. And we do the same thing. But the boundary is still the boundary. And once we get to the place, and once he gets to the place where it's like, I'm not doing this no more, then you pull back and you say, nope, this is my line. I want to have a relationship. I want it to be healthy. And so in order for it to be that, this is what has to happen. And there's no love loss, but there has to be an understanding and there has to be respect. And it starts with us honoring and respecting ourselves. All right, sis? So as you were doing all the things and all the people are asking you during this season, hey, I need this. Can you do this? And going on and going forward, it's okay to say no, and you don't have to feel guilty, and I don't want you to. So I hope that this helps you as you're going through this season and through life. And please let me know. Share it with me, and I will see you next time. All right? Love you. Bye.